Okay.
This happens every time.
Every time. Well, because you count me down, so then I always, it's fine.
I know. I fuck you up. That's what happens. All right, now it's ready. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Pizza Palace. Sean, what episode are we on?
We are on episode number 26 of the Pizza Palace.
26 it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is, of course, your boy Robert Winstanley alongside Sean Murphy. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing good, man.
I'm sure you are. It's draft week, finally.
Oh, thank God, dude. It's like one of those things where on one hand, basketball season's done. Also, it's episode 27, so I done.
Mother,
damn it! It's
son of a bitch. We did this last week, actually, because we thought it was the 25th episode. You know what? Fuck it. It doesn't matter. 27 it is.
The truth is, we're always an episode behind. That's where we're at. We're never. We're mentally approaching the next episode at the beginning of each episode.
The best episode is the next one.
Exactly.
That's
Either
right.
that or whichever one we talk about Brendan. But anyway,
Right.
yeah, it's in all seriousness, like it's one of those things where no matter who wins a title every year, there's always a euphoric high to watching them win a title. And so whenever that happens, it's always something that's really cool to see. And especially the way that it happened this past week, watching Steph get that win for him and how much that meant and just seeing him break down like in the middle of the game while it's still happening. Like he had it's the final seconds and he's just breaking down because it's just the overwhelming feeling of euphoria and being the best in the world and finally getting back to the mountain after everything the Warriors have been through the past 3 years.
Yeah.
I was just a cool title, man. I can't even even though I was rooting for I can't even be mad. I like the Warriors too much to and respect what they've done too much to be upset. So, I mean, listen, man, it's just it just shows. I mean, look at how guys like Draymond Green bounced back in the series after being ridiculed and criticized and belittled for how he was playing. Look at, guys like Klay Thompson, who we wondered what he could be, comes back in his first season of action again, wins a championship. So
yeah,
that just speaks to the tutelage of what the Warriors have built. And it's just one of those things where you just can really never count out Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and what they have built. You can't.
Yeah, no, and I've been saying for a while, and I know a lot of people say this, but I feel like it's somehow not like an overly popular opinion yet still of that. I really feel like Steph Curry in a lot of ways is this generation's Michael Jordan. Now everyone of course corrects me and says, well, that's LeBron. And I'm like, well, you're right, technically speaking. Like, I know what you're saying, but as far as their importance to the game and the legacy of the game,
I feel like this generation's MJ is always going to be Kobe. And I feel like what Steph, I think
that was last generation.
Well,
I think like Jordan was 2 generations ago.
I feel like Steph is like the second coming of the Magic Bird era, in the sense that he's the second coming of this massive change and ringing in of a new era of basketball, but also a new level of popularity for the game. I think he I think he brought a new type of excitement to basketball where different fans and people just tuning in to an NBA game, people cannot know basketball and understand Steph Curry's greatness because they can see that he can just hit a ridiculous shot that he shouldn't be able to hit. And that's the thing. Like, and the problem is when you have more than one player like that on the Warriors roster, guys like Jordan Poole, who get inspired by Steph doing it and can go out there and hit crazy like that too. And you have Klay Thompson, who can pull up from anywhere at any given time. It's just a hard thing to handle, man. It really is. And, we knew how good Steph Curry was, but to see him meticulously pick apart the best defensive team we've seen in basketball this past year,
right?
Like all series but one game. like,
Yeah, no,
he was pretty much near flawless.
I really this is kind of, I guess, what my point is that I feel like I j at least for me personally, and maybe it's because I don't watch enough basketball per se, but I guess for me personally, I just look at Steph Curry and I just wonder how any person could ever not, understand or like pay him his just dues
Oh, yeah.
or to kind of I feel like I don't understand how he doesn't get the respect he deserves, I guess is what I'm saying. Cause like
Well, it's
LeBron
because
James, he gets hate, but I feel like that's the same. Like the funny thing about LeBron James, right, is that there's people who love him and they think he's like the greatest thing that's ever touched a basketball court and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, right? And then there's the haters, but I feel like even the haters recognize just by being in the argument
Right.
that
Well,
there's a level of respect put on LeBron James's name that is just different, whether you hate or love him and whether you think he's the GOAT or you definitively argue against him being the GOAT. There's
so
just a different conversation around him, and I get it. I do, kind of. But Steph Curry, like, he literally changed the entire sport.
well,
So
I think for one, I think what it is you have guys that over quantify, um, there's just a way that, people just over quantify what other people did in those title runs. First of all, Andre Iguodala should not have won MVP, the Finals MVP in that first final. Steph should have won it, Finals MVP.
agreed.
The fact that they went that route was uh was infuriating. Um, but it's one of those things where, for Steph Curry, a lot of these guys just put unrealistic expectations on him based on just these little quantifiers. Like, honestly, a lot of it was some people were like, "Oh, he's never won a Finals MVP. He never was able to win a Finals." Like with him being the best player on his team, but he did that in such a historic fashion this time around
Right.
that, like, truly there's nothing left to say about Steph because he's now won the same amount of rings as Shaq, as LeBron, as a lot of all-time great players.
Right.
And so, and the crazy thing is, it's not unrealistic to say that the Warriors could be back a year from now in a similar situation. I mean, I don't know if they will because I think the rest of the league is gonna, I think the
I think
Eastern
they're gonna get
Conference.
better, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, it's hard for me to see Giannis and the Bucks missing the finals 2 years in a row, and, imagining a Bucks Warriors finals,
Sure.
I don't think that's a great matchup for Golden State.
No. No, I think oh, my bad. My thing's cutting. Yeah, I think, as far as next finals go, it's always impossible to, have that conversation this
Right.
early because I think a lot of people would have said that there was no way that the Warriors were gonna get to this point, which I found foolish because I remember telling people, and I was, like, the only one ringing the bell, at least as far as people that I was talking to of, like, literally the second that Steph and Clay are healthy, I was like, "They're gonna go out and win a championship." Now, it ended up being a little different than the way I was making it seem, right? But fact is that kind of in a way I was sort of right on some level of just I was like, this team is still the Warriors. Like I know that they just had a top draft pick
Yeah,
not
I
that long ago,
think
but I was like, that draft pick was a complete fluke. They did not get that draft pick because they were a bad basketball team. They
yeah,
got that draft pick because everyone on their team got injured, and so they were kind of just shitty by default. It
right.
was not that they were a bad basketball team.
It
They
was
just
it was the
weren't.
fact that they were inherently young. I mean, they literally didn't have for large stretches of the season, they didn't have Draymond. For
Right.
large stretches of the season, they literally for all but 4 games didn't have Steph. And then with Clay, they didn't have him at all. And so naturally, you have a team where Jordan Poole and Derek Lee is your backcourt, and then Draymond Green's not really out there, and when he is, he's expected to be the number 1 guy, and it's like, what the heck are you expecting Draymond to do? I mean,
Well, exactly. It's
Draymond is what makes the wheels go around for the Warriors, but that's when they have all of their other pieces out there as well. Draymond's the icing on the cake. He's the one that, like, runs the Warriors offense. He's the one that like everything goes through. However, you need all those other pieces on the court too. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
what
literally, if
makes
you take the top 2 superstars of any team out,
right. But
like, they're not
also
going to compete. They're
But
just
also what
not.
makes the Warriors, though, is the fact that literally it is perfectly whole because all of the pieces fit together perfectly and
Mhm.
none of it can work without each other. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
None of
true.
it can work without Steph, Clay, or Draymond.
Right.
Without if it's a 2/3, it's not perfectly whole. I mean, we saw it last year. They didn't even make it through the play-in last year when they
Right.
had Steph playing on an MVP level. And then this year, Steph goes freaking nuclear to start the season, dips off a little bit midway through, and, eventually picks it up to the point where this guy just, and honestly, first of all, I think a lot of it was a lot of issues that the Warriors had. By the way, congrats, breaking. Mo Sider just won Rookie of the Year Calder Cup. So, um, uh,
Let's
con- congrats,
go!
Mo Sider.
Let's
But
go, Red Wings, baby. Let's go!
let's go. Congrats, Mo.
Hell yes.
Um, that happened right during the pod.
Hell
But
yes.
in addition, I think Boston, like, nothing easily happened on offense for them. And we talked about that on the pod. Like, I talked about, like, how, at the beginning of the series, if they're gonna look this tense and this and that this offense can't flow, then they're gonna have issues. And that's exactly what happened. Those last 3 games, the Warriors defense clamped up. Andrew Wiggins made it hell and high water for Jason Tatum, and
Mm.
Jaylen Brown couldn't do it by himself. And then there were just other dumb decisions they made. Like, for example, they allowed in the fourth quarter of game 6, Steph Curry to get his matchup on Al Horford literally whenever he wanted. And Al Horford, for a 36-year-old player, did a pretty darn good job keeping up with Steph Curry.
For sure.
However, he's a 36-year-old center, and you have Marcus Mother Smart on your roster. Why
Yeah.
are you allowing anyone other than Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, or Jason Tatum to guard Steph Curry down the stretch? It's just decisions like that are going to lose you a finals, right? And those are the types of decisions that make your defensive rating go from a 1 point or like from like a 106 to a 110.4. And like that doesn't sound like a lot, but a 4-point swing on something like your defensive rating could be the difference between you winning and losing a finals. And it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, that was an extremely bizarre and questionable decision that it was just like, what are you doing? Like, like you said, I mean, it's not even a disrespect to Al Horford, of course. He is a good player, especially at his age and this kind of thing and whatever. But,
objectively, it's just hard for Al Horford. Like,
well,
how do you
exactly. He's
like
just not the right matchup. He's not the right fit.
yeah,
It's not the move. Yeah.
it's
No,
it's just
100%.
it's just schematically a bad basketball decision.
Yeah.
Like, it's not how is that what's best for business? It isn't. So,
Speaking of best for business, Sean,
oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
we
That
have to
segue.
move on
Oh,
to Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
what a psychopath, dude. I
He has been a psychopath for the better part of 40 to 50 years, but my man Vincent Kennedy McMahon is at it again. Now, the funny thing of this is honestly, I'm kind of shocked by how much this is seemingly affecting um the company in a way, in the fact that Vince McMahon stepped down as CEO of the WWE, which we'll get into. But I think for me, the thing that's bizarre is I'm just like, the news that came out, while it's obviously not like good news, right? I'm like, this isn't any more shocking than anything else he's ever done. Like, it's one of those, like, you kind of assumed Vince was doing this, and you're just kind of like, okay. And for whatever reason, this is the thing that finally broke the camel's back a little bit. And I find it honestly surprising that this did it, because I'm like, my man lasted through the steroid scandal where he was just handing that shit out like candy. My
right.
man has had so many horrendous skeletons in his closet when it comes to multiple different social issues and various. I mean, this man has done some Some
Well
not great things to a lot of people. So
well
it's very strange to me that like this is what did it.
here's the thing, because I'm not sure if you know this or not, Robert.
Mhm.
He stepped down as CEO. He has not stepped down from WWE creative.
No, I know that. I know that. Well, and so first of all, let's get into a little bit for the people who for some reason don't know the news story, and maybe it's because you don't follow wrestling and maybe you don't care that much, whatever.
We do though. We
We
do.
do though.
Uh-huh.
The gist of it is that essentially Vince had hired somebody. I forget if you could Google like what their role was. I forget what it was, but he hired this woman, and he ended up having an affair with her. And at some point, he
She
ends
was a
up
paralegal.
paralegal. Okay, and he ends up passing her along to John Laurinaitis, who is in charge of talent relations at WWE. And so then John Laurinaitis starts having an affair with her, and it's just very unprofessional. Obviously, that they're just like passing around this employee, and it's kind of strange.
Well, in
It does sound
addition
like it was consensual at the very least, but it's like one of those kind of
well
scummy business practices of
well, in
like maybe
addition
not sleep with your paralegal.
well, in
And he was,
addition
yeah.
in addition, that's a small part of it. That's like
Well,
half
right. So the bigger
that's
part is
half
the
of it.
fact that they were giving her a bunch of money, like she got a big
Company money.
raise.
Company
Yes.
money.
Well, she
Yes,
got a big yeah.
they were using company funds to cover up this sexual affair
Well,
also and through that there was a favorable relationship that also earned her a rate. Like it's
well,
unethical.
hold on. I was just gonna say, actually, there's actually a major detail in there that is important. Is the fact that actually it was not the company's money that he bribed her with. He did give her, I think it was like 3.5 million. You can check that of his personal wealth to kind of be hush money. So technically
Okay.
speaking, that did not come
S-
from the company.
Still but
Obviously not
still
like a
used
great
hush
thing to do,
money.
but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that technically speaking,
Yeah.
and it is very important from a legal standpoint, is that that
Right.
was not the company's money. The part that is potential is the fact of whether or not they indeed gave her a bigger raise than what she deserved for her role. That may or may not have had something to do with it. And she got this raise during a time when wrestlers were being cut and other people's pay was being cut and things like that, whatever. So that would be technically the company's money. That a little bit gets more into the weeds and it's a little bit harder to say,
Right.
but
Now
it
the
did come
crazy
from his
thing though,
personal wealth, so that is very important.
but the crazy thing though
Hmm.
is that this motherfucker
Yes. Has appeared
after
on both shows.
both shows and on SmackDown says
Mhm.
he's coming out to address the thing. He doesn't come out and address the thing.
Right. I don't
And
know
then
that he ever said, for the record, that he was gonna address the thing. They just said
well,
that Vince was gonna be there.
they said that Vince was going to be there to address the fans. Like he said, they used language to address the fans. They used language to make it sound like
Oh, he
he was
addressed the
going
fans, alright.
right. But that's what I'm saying is they made it
Yes.
very much sound like that's what he was going to do.
I think
And
that's
then
what
he
most people assumed because it would make the most sense for him to
well,
come
yeah,
out
they
and
use
to
well, what
yeah.
I'm saying is they used language to make you
Mm.
believe that that's what he was doing, and of course that's not what he was doing.
That's
And then he
so
comes
very
out on
WWE.
Monday just to announce that John Cena's coming back, and to get the cheap pop that John Cena's coming back,
Yes.
and to make fans because here's the thing, he's tricking young fans and not letting them know that like essentially he's just trying to make it all go away and make it act like it's not happening.
I think it's much more important than that. The reason why he did this is very obvious in my mind of that he did this as a power move to say that he's
Oh,
not going
100%.
anywhere. He
Mhm.
is going nowhere. The only reason he's not any longer the acting CEO and whatever is because the board was going to probably force it on him anyways. So he was kind of forced out of that role. Otherwise, he would still be doing it. And instead, Stephanie McMahon, his daughter, is stepping into that role. And this is his way of saying, Stephanie has it right now, but I'm coming back. You best believe this is my company. So that was him laying his balls on the table and saying,
Well, yeah,
listen, guys,
in
this is
addition
mine.
well, in addition, as if she's gonna be the one running anything because she literally left the company a
Yes.
month ago.
Right.
Like she took leave of absence from the company a month ago
Mhm.
because of the fact that she was sucking at her job and
That seems to
not
yeah,
bringing
that
enough
seems to
money
be
and
what
partnership to the
the
company.
case. Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the case, that, there was some reports that she was not doing a very good job and this and that. Some people were trying to say, "Oh, well, it's just that she wants more time with family." It's a whole kind of weird rigmarole. And then, of course, Triple H has not been with the company because, he had a health scare, and so he kind of was like,
Yeah.
this has not been great." Apparently, ever since he continuously was getting more and more,
He's
important
apparently back now, but, like,
on a
still.
different role, because the thing with Triple H is that evidently, and according to many reports, like, his health was rapidly declining based on the amount of stress he was continuously being put on him from his role and how much importance was on it. And he used to not drink like a ton of coffee, and then all of a sudden he was just downing iced coffees like all the time, and it was just not great for his heart and stuff like that. And so he basically just needed to chill because he was a workaholic and he was getting a little too into it, and it was an issue. Which,
Yeah, but that's regardless. That's besides the point
yeah,
right
no,
now.
obviously, but I mean, the point there being is that the McMahon family, and Triple H technically counts in that, is kind of in this really strange place, and it leads to the bigger part also of the fact that a lot of people have a bit of a conspiracy that, Tony Khan, who's the president of WWE, is trying to essentially eliminate all of the McMahons, systematically, so that he can sell the company potentially to Disney or another suitor.
Well, not
Um,
Tony Khan. Tony Khan's AEW.
or my bad. Shit, what is his name?
Isn't it like a Shad Khan or something like
No, no,
that?
no. Google it. It's son of a bitch. I always say Tony Khan because of AEW.
Is it the
It's
COO?
Mike. I think it's Mike Khan, something like that. Or no, Nick Khan.
Nick.
That is
Yeah,
his
Nick.
name. It
Yeah,
is
it's Nick
Nick
Khan.
Khan. Yes, I always say Tony because, anyways. But yes, Nick Khan potentially like trying to get rid of them so that he can sell the company to the biggest suitor that most people assume is Disney, but I
Yep.
guess we'll see. But it's a hard thing to say, and I think that Vince McMahon will fight to his grave to keep the company in his family's hands as long as he can.
Well, of course.
Obviously, but yeah, no, obviously, I don't condone anything that Vince pretty much has almost ever done. Really, I don't know that anyone, even
Yeah.
the biggest wrestling fans in the world, I don't know that any of us have ever condoned a single thing Vince has ever done. Really,
I think
he's a
all
very
fans recognize our lives would be better without him.
well, yes and no, because here's the complicated thing with Vincent Kennedy McMahon is the fact that
Well, I'm saying in the going forward, we're better
oh
off
yeah,
with Vincent
currently
Kennedy
sure,
McMahon.
yes.
No, currently and going forward, we are better without Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yes.
He is a vile garbage human being, and if these allegations are true in any format, he shouldn't have a company that he should be in charge of or
They've
run
pretty
in
much
any
said
way.
that they were. Like they've pretty much it seems like they're not disputing whether or not he had the affair. That apparently seems to be more or less like yeah, of course that happened. The part seems to be that they're trying to investigate is the financial aspect of it because that's the part that could potentially go against that could be him not fulfilling his what is it? It's fiduciary duties to his shareholders because WWE is
Yep,
a public company. So
yep,
so that has it's honestly more the money than it is the act, which
right.
obviously is
Right,
like what the hell.
money's
But
always the thing that's gonna lose, even like what we saw with the Washington Commanders,
oh
the
yeah, yeah.
owner could literally do all this vile, racist, illegal stuff within his organization, all that's bad, but once we find out that he might be holding ticket funds from the NFL, oh, well, that's when all hell breaks loose. That's when the things change and he could potentially lose his football team.
No, for
It's like
sure.
it's like
It's
once money's involved, like we see Deshaun Watson, it doesn't mean a damn thing. He just settled 20 of his 24 cases out of court.
yeah.
So, you're just seeing that we just live in a world that, it's not these predatory behaviors that we care about. It's the financial implications that people care about, which is sickening. So,
It's very unfortunate. I will say this about this specific situation though, to where I think it does differ from the Deshaun Watson stuff like that. At
right.
least
It's
from
not
every
sexual
report I've
assault,
seen.
but
Yeah, I have seen almost exclusively on some level that it was consensual. The part where it got kind of not was when she talked about when he kind of passed her along to John Laurinaitis, and then it became sort of like she was afraid for her job and this and that, and then
Well,
the
yeah,
power
and that
dynamics became a real
yeah,
problem.
yeah. Well, and
So
like,
there's
and
the
that's the
inherent scumminess of it.
well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're comparing like a turd to a less like to like a more polished turd. They're still turds. They're
Yeah,
still
no, for sure. And obviously, their business practices in general have not been good. Like John Laurinaitis, from everything I've heard, has done nothing but make life a living hell for the talent. Obviously, everybody seems to just be appalled by Vince McMahon backstage and this kind of thing and whatever. Vince is such a complicated figure because, like, on TV and on the product itself, generally speaking, he's one of the greatest villains that's ever existed because he's so fun and compelling to have as a character
yep.
in the series itself. And that's the kind of guy that you have a lot of nostalgia for, and he feels like kind of a family member because I've seen him for so long. But the person and who he truly is behind the scenes and this and that or whatever has always been the absolute worst. And
Yep.
it's just he is one of the most complicated figures when it comes to entertainment in general. And because in a lot of ways, like as a lifelong major huge WWE fan, you kind of owe the entire business to him because he's the reason why pro wrestling
Right.
ever came even
Right.
close to what it is.
We do owe the business to him, but also now I think his legacy should be tarnished, and I think we should move in a different direction and try to forget Vince McMahon as much as humanly possible. Like I really do. Or maybe this should
I have
just
to
be,
disagree with that.
or maybe this should just be the pendulum or the thing that really gets Vince out of the company. Maybe we acknowledge what Vince has done and where he's brought the company, but maybe we say, but also, he was a freaking psychopath and he needs to be gone. And in the modern era, we got to move on and expect better from our officials and people who are running public companies, especially one that's as prominent as the WWE, because this guy's a freaking psychopath. There's just
Yeah,
no
for
other way
sure.
around it. The guy's
No, for
insane.
sure. For sure. Like it's again, it's one of those things where yeah, like you're right. Like obviously in the now and especially in today's climate and all that kind of stuff and whatever. Like Vince McMahon is obviously a figure that simply cannot be in charge of a company like this, and he cannot continue to run a business like a frat house the way he used to back in the 80s or 90s, right? Um yeah, it's a very it's just it's honestly, it's a shame. It really is in a lot of ways because, like, he should have a legacy that is so great and so, easily honored and praised and this and that, whatever, because he has accomplished so much and he has helped so many lives and this, that, whatever. The problem is that he's also been such a shitty guy that it's just like it really does tarnish it. And it's really, really unfortunate that there's kind of the two sides of Vince McMahon, if you will. Um, but yeah, no. So I just felt like that was somewhat important to bring up because it is something near and dear to my heart as a lifelong WWE fan, and this is honestly the biggest news that we've had since the steroid scandal.
Yeah.
And especially we've never seen Vince ever be forced to step down no matter what. Now, of course, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Nick Khan is around and the fact that it is a publicly traded company and this, that, and the other. And we're in a different climate. I think that's the other part of it, and especially because this has to do with whether it's sexual assault in quotes or not, or whatever it may be, shady business practices, you name it, right? It is different because of what it involves versus the steroid thing, which is obviously still terrible. It was like
Right.
obviously affecting people's lives, but it was a very different kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just
So,
this is like, you know what the crazy thing about it is though? This is like probably in the Vince McMahon worst things he's ever done. Doesn't crack his top 10.
no,
And it's still,
that's my point.
and that's still the terrible thing. And it's like, but like this should be the last terrible thing. And this should be
Right.
the last time that he's allowed, because because at the end of the day, he's been allowed to do whatever the hell he wants because Vince McMahon was dollar signs. And that's just the truth. He still is dollar sign. That's the thing. That's why it's a problem, because this company's still profitable. This company still brings back money. And the
Did you know
even
that last year was actually the most profitable year in WWE history?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the maddening thing, man.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things where, I feel like really nothing's changed. He's still in the company.
Yep.
He still gets to run creative and have his show.
Which is so
So
frustrating because if I
and
have to see Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns one more time, I'm gonna dive off a bridge because I'm so
oh
sick of it. Like that's gonna be at SummerSlam, and I'm like, why? For the
yeah,
love of
also what
Christ,
perfect time
why?
for John Cena to come back, right? It's almost like Vince is like, "Hey, listen, man, I'm in a really bad spot here. I need you to come back and save me."
For sure, it feels that way. Although apparently this is the 20th year anniversary of John Cena, so that's kind of where that came from. Which, by the way, makes me feel tremendously old because I
Right, but
remember
it
him
couldn't have come at a
debuting.
better time though
Oh
for
yeah, for
bringing
sure.
back is what I'm saying.
The other thing, by the way, that I want to touch on before we move out of the WWE thing is like like Vince again. He's such a complicated figure and stuff like that, and whatever. And it hurts to say, but I do at my core still like Vince McMahon. Like I do like him because I think that I've been trained to just as being a WWE fan. It's one of those like he's a piece of shit and like that you hate
You
him.
like the character and the stigma and the aura that WWE has
Right.
sold you on who he is. But
Exactly. I like the Hugh Hefner version, the like pomp and circumstance. He's the man, this, that, whatever.
but the problem is though is that who's the person that made him look that way? It's
Right,
himself.
exactly. Him. Right.
Like that's the thing. That's who he builds himself up to be. But
No, for
it's
sure.
but it's the reality of who he really is that sets in, and it's just like, "Oh, you're just this vile garbage person."
I know that's the thing that's so frustrating in my mind trying to like adjust is the fact that I'm like I don't want to hate this guy, but I should for every single reason because there's every reason to hate him. The other thing about it, right, is like I want him to leave because he's so bad for creative, but it's like sad at the same time if he were to be gone. Like I kind of want him to just be a mascot in a way, but like he's like the worst mascot ever, so it's like what the hell. But no, like he's like when it comes to creative like for the love of God, right? They created the Universal Championship, which I think is a cool title. You have the Universal Championship, and they made it for the specific reason that there would be a title on Raw and a title on SmackDown. And their genius idea, somewhat recently, was to put both titles on SmackDown, thus eliminating the entire fucking reason why they came up with the Universal title. I've never been so angry because I'm just like the blue title looks cool. I get it. I personally think that the other one was better, but whatever. It looks neat and okay, but like then put the WWE on Raw. Like I don't like you can't have both belts on one show. Like that was the whole point of the
Right.
Universal title. One is for one show, one is for the other show. That's also the reason why the Universal title can either be red or blue is because it's
Well,
on one show and not both.
and then there's the even bigger thing of now they let Sasha Banks walk too in the midst of this all as well, and
Dude,
now
the
she's gonna
amount of amazing talent just gone.
yep, like literally just because they can't deal with Vince anymore, and because they can't deal with WWE culture anymore. It's because literally everyone that leaves the WWE company, like 9
They
out
all
of
say
10
the same
people
thing.
got yeah, they all got slighted in some way. The only ones that haven't are Roman, are Shawn Michaels, are Triple H, are John Cena, like the 1% of wrestlers, like
The
the
Rock,
ones that are at the top of the clubhouse.
Stone
Naturally, those
Cold.
guys aren't gonna be screwed, you know?
Notice how none of them are women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. No, and
The
honestly,
only
that's
woman
the
that won't get any harm is Charlotte Flair.
yes. Charlotte Flair is literally the only one that is treated any type of way, and maybe the Bellas,
And
maybe the Bellas.
Ronda,
Yeah, well, and Ronda Rousey, but that's only because she's totally
female
different.
Brock.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he sees her as female
She
Brock.
like Brock Lesnar. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
a UFC thing. She's a totally different caliber. She doesn't need WWE.
yeah.
WWE needs her. Yeah, no, it's really unfortunate. When you bring up that as well, because yeah, and the thing is too, man, is it's just like there's so many great guys there that want to do really, really good that are so fun. Like Finn Balor, they have done absolutely nothing but ruin him ever since he showed up there. Like I I still remember, and I'm still heartbroken by like I remember how excited I was when he became Universal Champion. He was the first one. The belt matched what he looked like. It was awesome. And then he, unfortunately had that injury during that match. And then after he healed, they just went like bye, and they just completely ignored him ever since then. And it's just like I don't understand, and same thing with like AJ Styles has been kind of just putting around for a while now when it's like why is he not Universal Champion and then like the WWE champions on Raw or something? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. And like even somewhat recently, there was a great match between Roman Reigns and Riddler. I feel like Riddler is actually, or Riddle, sorry, is honestly like his gimmick sucks, I think, on a lot of levels, but like his technical ability is great and he is reasonably entertaining and he puts on a really good match. I'm like, dude, just for funsies, just for a little bit, screw it. Like, give him one of those titles and then
Yeah.
have him go over to Raw and then lose it to somebody and then like whatever. But like, yeah, it's just it's very, very
I mean, I
frustrating.
understand what they're doing in the sense of it's very old school how they're building up Roman, and it's like how they're handling the heel thing. It's like there's parts of that that are cool, but like the other problem is when he wins both titles, that's not the time you make him go part time.
Well, right, exactly.
I
Like he's
like
never on either show. You never see either belt anymore. His stupid cousins have literally both tag team titles, which makes no sense. And it's
yep.
just like you're gonna have three guys own half the company's championships, and then they're never on TV. Like I
Yep.
don't.
Mhm.
Well,
Yep. Mhm. And that's the other thing is that he's killing his own company internally by making stupid decisions all the time, and that's the other thing, he makes all the other belts not feel like anything too, so
yeah,
that, like, the ones that are there, like yeah, man, it's
no,
just
because it honestly, and you're right there too, because it's just like, dude, the other day, what the hell is even his name? I honestly don't even know his name. He walked out and they were like, "Oh, he's the United States championship or champion rather." And I thought two things to myself. I was like, "Who the hell is that guy?" And secondly, I was just like, "Oh, that's who's the United States champion." Like, okay. Like, sure. Okay. It's just like a belt that literally barely exists. Same with the Intercontinental. I don't even know if anyone owns the Intercontinental. It's probably just sitting on a shelf somewhere backstage. Like they forgot that it existed. Like it's so stupid. It's infuriating. It really is. I I feel like honestly the best belt right now in some ways kind of feels like the Raw Women's Championship because I
yeah.
think every single wrestler on Raw in the women's division is fantastic.
Well,
I
they got
love the
Asuka,
champion.
Bianca Belair, you
Bianca
know,
is
Becky
awesome.
Lynch, they
Yes.
have a stellar women's division over there, but, you
It's
know, it's just
incredible. Like,
yeah, but
literally all of them are so good, and the match they just had yesterday was amazing. Like, they are all so, so good.
right.
Um
I do wanna close with this though,
mm,
on this part because I
yeah,
do
yeah.
wanna wrap it back to the original point and what we
Sure.
did bring it up on, you know. I I hope Vince just doesn't get to use his company and his product just to make people forget that he's there, you know?
Yes.
I hope they don't get to they don't I hope they don't get to proceed as business as usual. I hope that I hope he's removed from creative at some point, and, I don't think it's gonna happen, but, you know, it's one of those things where I really think that company needs so much change. It needs because it has you and I both know how much potential it has and how
Yes.
much we enjoy it when it's at its best.
Yes.
It's just gotta be better, man. It just has to because the way it is right now, not good enough, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like the thing is like as much as, I was reflecting on the fact that it is painful for me, honestly. And that's
Mhm.
just me being honest, like
Yeah,
that
no, and that's understandable.
Vince McMahon is an important figure in my childhood and that kind of thing. But yeah, ultimately, regardless of those feelings, it is time for him to go and leave the company in general because so many things, in fact, the company does need to be sold. It just needs to be sold to the right company because the thing for me with WWE is it's like, okay, there's big systematic changes. Like every wrestler needs to be an employee. They cannot just be contracted out or whatever the hell to where they have no rights, they have no, whatever. And it's just like that whole thing is so wrong. And there's a whole great John Stewart or John Oliver, sorry, video about how wrestlers in WWE are not paid the way that they should be and treated right and blah blah blah. But yeah, like that structure needs to change. The creative needs to change for the fans and stuff like that. Like there's so many different things that need to change. I don't know if Disney can bring that. I don't know. Maybe they can. I don't know. But in whatever other company that could potentially bring in stuff like that, I don't know who the right company is. But yeah, there obviously does need to be a lot of turnover, and we cannot continue to have these kind of business practices. Like, you cannot have Vince and John Laurinaitis going around like passing around people that they have clearly put into a situation that they cannot get themselves out of by financially trapping them or, threatening them and this kind of thing. Like, this is just like such a, like, what year is it, dude? Like, this is the kind of
Right.
thing you hear about in like the 70s or whatever. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's so unacceptable.
Yeah. Absolutely,
So yeah,
man.
I think you're right that we, to end it on that point. Although I will say I think we should make this a segment from now on. I like this where we bring up today's storylines in wrestling. I like that.
I do too,
Um
man. Yeah, today's news and yeah, we gotta incorporate more wrestling in this show,
for
man.
sure.
We just do. It's too much a part of who we are.
It's true.
The original podcast we started back a few years ago was
Holy
almost a
shit.
wrestling podcast. It was called the Oh My God Cast.
Aren't you glad that that's not this?
Oh, dear God save. And then it says something when the grown-up version is the Pizza Palace.
Yeah, right. I know. It's kind of who knows anymore. But yeah, no, I love that. But I think because of how much, wrestling has honestly been a cornerstone of our friendship for a long time. So it is very unfortunate,
Yeah.
where the business is right now. And in some ways, it doesn't seem like many of the other promotions are that great either. Like, I've never heard great things about TNA or Impact or whatever the hell they call it this week. Um, AEW, I hear decent things, but at the same time, like, Cody Rhodes left clearly for a reason, and some other guys have, since come out of the woodwork saying that things aren't perfect over there. I don't know what the hell the answers are. I'm not that deep into the industry to know like what needs to be done. What I do know is that creative needs to change. Michael Cole needs to be fired. And there needs to be one championship per show. You cannot have them both on SmackDown, for the love of Christ. And also, please put the Universal title back on Raw. I want it to be red again. Uh,
Yeah, I just think the red belt got too big of a bad reaction the first time
well, that's
that
because people are dumb.
I
People
well,
are wrong.
in fairness, I remember the 3 of us sitting there when we saw that red belt for the first time,
It was
and I don't
terrible.
remember anyone being more vocal than you going, "Oh god,
If we
this thing
remember,
is."
though,
It was
that original
disgusting though.
belt, yeah, that was the wrong belt because they didn't they spray paint essentially like a regular title, and so it looked disgusting.
I have no clue what they did, but
Because
yeah.
remember, it was like the wrong, like it was like this nasty,
It was this weird material, it didn't look right, yeah.
yeah,
It looked better the next night for sure. I remember or it
yeah.
was something they did where they did something with the belt,
They
and
literally changed the belt because I distinctly remember that because I remember being pissed. And then I remember we took a side by side photo and we could see that it was a different belt. And it was way better,
yeah.
way better. Once they fixed it, I think it became my favorite. But before that, Jesus Christ, if it had stayed that original one, I was like, this is so disgusting and appalling. I was like, I can't bear to look at this for another second. Like, this is so bad.
Oh my
Once
god.
they fixed it, though, it was good.
Well,
Um,
dude, hey, you think it's time for the old ad read there, eh?
yes, it is. I was just gonna say we should hop into that before our final topics here.
Heck yeah, well, let's all go ahead and do that.
Alrighty. Welcome, oh, sorry. We'll cut it right to where we can splice it in.
Yeah, we'll cut it now.
We're gonna cut it now.
We gonna cut it now.
Okay, thank God, thank God. All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and of course, please thank our sponsor Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code halfcourt, we will display it here, for 20% off and free shipping. Fellas, listen, you owe it to yourself. All right, it's time to grow up. I know you're still using Axe body spray. Stop it. I know you're using 12-in-1 shampoo. Stop it. I know you're using all of the wrong things, and it is time to take care of yourself. It's time to grow up, fellas, and Manscaped can help you get there. All of their products are fantastic. They're all super high quality. They're going to last you a long time. They're going to do exactly what you need them to do, and you're going to feel better. I promise you. I really do. All right. It's time to switch out your old crappy trimmer or your deodorant or your shampoo or your this and that. And it's time to grab some Manscaped gear and materials because you're just going to feel better. All right. Sean, what do these folks need to do?
People need to go to manscaped.com and use pro half court to get 20% off plus free shipping on their first order, where they can also get the Premier Package 4.0, which comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, comes with shampoo and conditioner, body soap. It's everything that you could possibly need. Go to manscaped.com and again use code halfcourt for 20% off plus free shipping. Thanks to our people
Absolutely.
Manscaped, man. Please use that
Yes.
code. It's the best way to sponsor and support the show and the podcast and the channel using that code at manscaped.com. Code halfcourt for 20% off plus free shipping.
All right, we are back, folks. Thank you again to Manscaped. And Sean, I would like to talking about men. One of my favorite men that has ever graced the gridiron, of course, Robert Gronkowski. I must toast him as he bids us farewell. And this time, it seems he is actually serious, and he is for real this time, retiring from the NFL. And he is no longer the tight end for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a sad day, Sean.
Well, so long, SpongeBob. Couldn't see. I didn't see it coming. Oh, what a sad day. Oh, boo.
Boo hoo. Boo hoo.
Oh,
You're the worst.
That's exactly how I feel. Good.
I'm sure you do,
riddance.
especially since his first retirement was a bit of a fraud, so that he did not end up on the Detroit Lions, because God only knows who would want to play for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I concur with that. That's fair. But listen, that's not what it's about. What it's about is the fact that listen, I liked Gronk in all seriousness as a player, as a guy. You know, it's hard to not like Gronk.
Love him.
I mean, the guy's body was falling apart. It was,
Oh yeah.
you know, he was really only able to come back and do as well as he did the year before because of the rest that he had from retiring the first time. So it almost was surprising that he came back again in the first place. I mean, he came back, he got another ring.
Yeah.
He gets to retire. He's going to be a Hall of Fame tight end.
Oh yeah.
Now
He's maybe the greatest tight end to ever live.
Well, and now he can go. Now he's going to be able to go make a crap ton of money doing whatever he does next. More than
Hopefully
likely,
WWE, that'd be cool.
yeah, probably something in television or wrestling. You know, hopefully, yeah. I mean, he did give WWE a go, and then he was like, oh, but JK, I'm actually going back to NFL
Yeah.
football. Yep. But
Yeah, no, and last year he got injured. He was out for, I believe, 6 games. And so obviously I think that has something to do with it. And I think the
right.
other part of it too is that he's not exactly been shy about letting everyone know how much he hates practice and
Well,
training
yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff. The thing of it is that he just wants to be able to just get up, play, and then be done with it. Whereas, a guy like his best friend in the world, Tom Brady, loves the minutia. He loves the training camp, the practice, the daily grind. Tom Brady lives, breathes, and snorts NFL. He wants to do every single bit of it, whereas Gronk is like, listen, man, I just want the cool part.
Right.
And that's understandable. And yeah, like you said, I mean, he's so banged up at this point, and it is what it is. I'm super happy that he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very, very, very happy that he won a championship with us. And, it just makes me feel good because he's one of my favorite players. And so the fact that he got to wear our colors and win a championship is cool to me. And so, either way, it's one of those things that even though it's expected, it's still a bummer to see him go. On some level, I was hoping for maybe one more ride, but
And
it's fine.
And on behalf of Lions fans everywhere, I
Mm,
do want to give Rob Gronkowski, just because it is his retirement.
yes.
I do just feel like we do have to honor him. We got to give him the double bird salute. I mean, like, dude, you earned it, buddy. Like on behalf of all Detroit Lions fans, you earned the two bird salute, my friend. So, take that, run down to Chinatown, and buy yourself some knickknacks.
Well said, Sean. So
You bitch.
that's beautiful. Well, the fun part is when Tom finally retires, he'll also have retired twice.
And he will
So
also get the double bird salute. He's gonna get the 21 bird salute. Like that's what's gonna happen. When we gave him his flowers the last time we retired, the next time I'm planning the retirement segment. Next time it's being done my way.
that's fair. I'll still love him. It's just he's one of those guys where I'm like, it doesn't matter how much I may have disliked the fact that the Patriots would win all the time and this and that, whatever. The fact that he came to my team and won a championship, I mean, all I can do is love him at this point. I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, you're not gonna have the opportunity to when we have our certain Tom Brady retirement episode about a year
Mm,
from now, because let's be
pretty much,
honest,
yeah,
he already signed his deal for what he's gonna do next. I
yeah.
guess the thing that pisses me off
Uh huh.
is the guy comes back,
Mm-hmm.
isn't even retired for a month,
Mm-hmm.
but still manages to secure himself a $360 million contract and retire.
Which is more than he's made in his entire career, which is
Pisses me off.
the funniest thing in the world to me. But Sean, we must move on to our final segment here. Now, you are going to be the local expert on this. What is the current, and I'm sure you're going to do a whole big live broadcast with Woodward and blah, 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 whatever.
Yes, we are.
But
It'll have already happened by then, but
exactly.
Mhm.
And so I want it, yeah, we might have to put this episode up early or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out off pod. The point is though, is that Sean, tell me who we're getting, why, and why I should be excited.
So,
Within,
yeah. So to answer your question, uh,
and are we
r-
doing any trades?
so we could definitely be doing a trade.
Mm,
There's apparently some reports that the Pistons could potentially be in the market now for Miles Bridges, which would be very interesting. Apparently the Charlotte Hornets are currently a little weary with paying him a max contract, or paying him or what to pay him in general.
mm,
So now Detroit could be making a move at him. But in addition, Jeremy Grant very much could be traded this week. I think you have to look at
really?
Portland. Oh yeah, with the draft, I mean, this is really like one of the times you could trade him. I mean, if you
That's true.
if you go with the Portland trade, you could perceivably walk away with the number 7 overall pick as well, and potentially get 2 guys in this top 10. I think you're going to see 2 names that are going to be the most likely for the Pistons at 5. One is Jaden Ivey. That's the
Mm,
one I want. And he's in my opinion the best balance of floor and ceiling
mm,
as far as what we can get, like upside and overall ability coming into the league, contributing now.
mm,
But in addition, there's this guy named Benedict Mathurin who is also really good. And there's a reality where Jaden Ivey goes 4. And if we have the 5th pick, there's also a guy named Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray from Iowa, he's a solid player. He's probably the best overall player in the draft, in the sense of like, he's going to be like the surefire can't miss player, right?
gotcha.
But he also might not have the highest upside. He might
Gotcha.
be a floor, not a ceiling guy, you know?
Mm,
So I personally want to get a guy with a little bit of long-term upside and maneuverability. Just because I think you need that.
sure.
But in addition, I just think, we're in a situation where we really can't lose, but also we can go really aggressive if we want to. So, there's a lot of different directions Troy Weaver can take it. Ultimately, I trust in what he's going to do. We're really kind of at the mercy of what the Kings do at 4, which is kind of infuriating. There's
Yeah.
been like a lot of conflicting reports, because like on one hand, the logical pick is Jaden Ivey, but on the
Mm,
other hand, they had Keegan Murray uh come out to Sacramento and have dinner with their star players. Apparently, all reports suggest they're really high on Keegan Murray. Apparently, they haven't even talked to Jaden Ivey yet, which would be a
huh.
sign that they're not going to draft him. But on the other hand, they did the exact same thing with their first round pick last year, which was also a point guard. So, like, that's the thing about the Kings. If they draft another mother point guard, I'm gonna lose my ever living mind, because
Yeah.
literally I want to like go to a press junket and ask the general manager, like, hi there, Sean Murphy, Woodward Sports, which point guard in next year's draft are you guys targeting? Because literally all they draft is point guards.
They're
It's
just hoping that
insane.
one of them works.
It's insane, dog. And like the thing is like Jaden Ivey is so remarkably similar to De'Aaron Fox. So if you throw
Yeah.
those guys on a court together, it's so redundant. It's
Yeah, that sucks.
unbelievably redundant.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I mean, maybe they would be trying to replace Fox considering that he hasn't exactly looked great recently, but
Right.
then
But
it's like
like,
if he just turns into the same thing, then what have you achieved? Nothing.
well, yeah, that's the point. Like,
Yeah.
aren't you just going backwards? Aren't you just kind of
Well, it
going
is the
like,
Kings.
yeah, aren't you going kind of like diagonal? Like, aren't you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're not really making a step forward. Whereas, like with Keegan Murray, I think the argument there would be he fits a need now.
Mm,
He makes the team better immediately. He would Harrison Barnes is coming off the books in a year or two. He could replace his contract seemingly as well. And you can really never go wrong with a wing. So that's why, like all signs, like all logic would point towards their drafting Keegan Murray,
mm.
but you have to throw logic out the window when it comes to the Sacramento Kings. And
I
that's
was
where
just gonna say, well,
and
it's the Kings, so
the other thing too, there's reports that teams might trade up to that 4th pick. One of the teams that's been rumored to trade up is the New York Knicks because they need a guard and they need a star, and reportedly they're desperate. And so there's been some
that's the
conflict there.
Knicks.
There's been some reports that have said that they reportedly might use multiple first round picks to trade up. I don't know if that's true.
Jeez.
I don't see it, but it's out there,
Yeah. Well, Sean, by the time that this airs, that'll be old news, so I'm sure that people are a
Well,
little bit.
it won't necessarily be old news. I mean, it's going to be the day after, so it's going to be a big thing.
It's true. It's true.
So,
But they know what has happened at this point. Sean, I'm excited about the future of the Detroit Pistons. I'm even more excited about the future of the Detroit Red Wings. Congratulations, of course, to Moritz Seider. We already mentioned it, but I felt like it deserved another mention because this
yeah.
feels good. As a Red Wings
Well, it
fan,
happened during the
this
pod.
feels
Now we can
yes.
actually we can actually reflect and actually have it be a part of the pod. Yeah, it's a big deal.
This feels really, really good for me as a Red Wings fan because it's like it's just one of those little signs of like we're turning the corner. We're on the way. We're going towards being the Red Wings again.
Right.
And honestly, Cade should have won Rookie of the Year as well, which is still frustrating, but whatever. And so it's just kind of a cool thing to see back to back, Detroit players winning Rookie of the Year. Cade didn't actually, but he should have. But Moritz actually getting it is really, really cool. Super excited for him. And super excited about the Red Wings. So yeah, this is just like one of those things where it's like you assume he's going to get it, or you hope to God he's going to get it. But much like Cade Cunningham, it was very easy for them to just be like, nah, we'll give it to whoever instead, like Zegras or whoever. So no, this was expected, but somewhat unexpected because it's Detroit. So you can never count on anything. So super excited about that.
Absolutely, man. And it's just one of those things where it's just a sign that Detroit's on the up and up, man. And the thing that I'm excited about is I really think this channel is going to be at the forefront of it.
I hope
You know,
so.
you know what I mean? Like I think
I
right now
agree.
a lot of momentum. We're very much building, momentum within the Pistons community, being part of Woodward Sports, what
Sure.
we're doing. I just, to me, it's just I think we're going to be at the forefront of it. I really do.
I hope so. As I'm wearing a non-Detroit hat.
As you're wearing your Miami, your Heat culture hat.
I'm the worst.
You're the problem, but it's okay.
That's all right.
Hey, you know what you deserve, Robert?
What's that?
Have you heard of my friend the double bird salute?
And on that note, we will see you guys all next week on another episode of the Pizza Palace. Again, head over to Manscaped for the love of God and buy their stuff with our promo code HalfCourt because it's awesome. For the love of your balls, for the love of your girlfriend or wife who has to deal with your balls. All right. For the love of all that is good and holy.
Or
boyfriend,
your non-binary or male partner as well.
Whatever you have. Yeah, exactly. Whatever the hell's going on in your life, whoever has to deal with your stinky ass balls, for the love of God. All right. It's not that hard. It's nice. You're going to feel good and you're going to go, oh, I should have done that a long time ago. Yes, you should have. Be a man. Anyways, see you guys next week.
Bye. I am your commander.
This show is